the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Prison City Podcast. I'm your unofficial host, Patrick W. Cutler, and we got an absolute banging show here tonight. So much shit going on, so much crazy stuff. We're going to talk about Donald Trump has a new social media platform coming out here in the first quarter of 2022 called Truth Media. We're going to talk about that. So we got people boycotting our creep show here at the old funeral home, no longer a funeral home, it's a private building now. And we got Mike Freeze is on here as a special guest. We're going to talk about some aliens and shit. We got an alien conspiracy here about Blue Beam and faking an alien invasion. Really interesting shit there. But yeah, we're just going to have an absolute banging show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So before we get started here, I'm just going to go through everybody and go through and just introduce everybody and do our usual go around. Then we'll get down to what we're talking about here tonight. All right. First, we'll go out to Mahomes there in Nebraska. How's Nebraska looking today, Mahomes?
Not too bad. You know, we didn't get hit by that bomb cyclone that everyone on the West Coast is talking about yet anyway. So Nebraska's going well. Scott Frost still can't win any games. But outside of that, really excited to touch on this. And obviously you heard Mr. Freeze is back. And I kind of teased it last time, but he's going to be talking about how he's going to have his own offshoot. We're finally going to have our own offshoot of our podcast. So it's going to be fantastic.
Mahomes talked about Mike, you eventually having an offshoot of the Prison City Podcast Junior or something like that. If we could have 20 different offshoots of this show. We'll go out to Matt now. Matt, how are things going for you tonight?
Going great here. It's the last podcast before Halloween, so I think that's cool. It's one of most of our favorite months. This time of year is great. Yeah, so I'm ready to start it off. I'm interested to hear Mike's story from what he had going on there, because I read some of it in the message group, but I want to really get some gnarly ass details. And yeah, hopefully we talk about a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we're talking about a little bit of everything, and going out to Kelly now.
Yeah, so the pyramids are an interesting thing. If you look at them from an outsider's point of view, I don't really have an opener, so I just thought we'd kick it off with the pyramids.
And our special guest of the night, Mike Freeze, is back for another show. How are things going today for you, Michael Freeze?
Mute. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you good?
There he is.
Man, I miss you guys. I really do. It's so refreshing to talk to real people. You know, I had it out with my HR today, as you know. I had to vent a little bit on Messenger, but yeah, so it feels good. It just feels good to be back, and I would love to do an offshoot, like a spinoff. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I couldn't think of the word. Spinoff is exactly what I was thinking.
I just want to say, Mike, I can't be a guest on your offshoot. That wouldn't be good for my image or anything. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got the Prison City Podcast, man. I don't want to give it a bad name.
Well, yeah, and you know what you guys are missing is an HR department. Let me tell you. Yeah, that's what you guys need. And actually, you should do that. Just have an HR department and just refer everything to it and see what happens.
Could you imagine how quickly Pat would have been fired if we had an HR department on this podcast?
Well, it's kind of funny, Mahoney. For one of our businesses, we did develop an HR department. It lasted a total of 4.5 days. Not even joking.
Yeah. So this is what we're getting into here. This opening topic is kind of the cancel culture and the boycotts and everything else that's going on. Is the creep show with all these different things. You can't even talk freely. We're going deeper into the creep show boycott here, and it's just crazy to think about. I mean, people tried to cancel me off my own podcast show. I mean, that's kind of where the boycott Pat Cutler movement started, and now it's branched out to all these different things. Now we have people boycotting this creep show they're doing. It's all it is just a haunted house creep show at a private building that used to be a funeral home, and people are going ape shit crazy. They're leaving messages on our phones now, harassing people that we know, harassing our actors when they see them in public and stuff like that. just pure harassment. And it's just fucking insanity. And I want to give you guys what is the leading, like you have like the hashtag Me Too. So this is the leading hashtag for the Boycott Creep Show 2021. And it goes like this. And this is what they're doing now when they go on social media. This is how this is their hashtag. This is their calling card to boycott the Creep Show. Do not mistake our silence for approval.
I thought you were actually going to say the movement has like been strong enough to actually get its own hashtag. I thought I saw you post something, obviously like being a smartass, about like giving them hashtags earlier today.
I just think it's hilarious. Like a lot of these people, like they're like the same people that voted for Trump or whatever, and they're like adamant. This cannot go on. This cannot happen. It's like it's a private building, and then they're saying stuff like and don't tell the people who are coming to this. They're like, oh, that place is haunted. Honestly, it's not haunted at all because nobody fucking died there, dumbass. Like nobody has died in this place. Nobody. Like if you walk, you can. I'm sure all of us experience this. If you walk into certain locations where are haunted, or you can feel like a certain vibe. When you go into old Montana State Prison, you can feel like a fucking vibe when you go in. You go in this funeral home, and I hate to spoil the show for everybody, but you don't feel shit because it's just an old building. Like, that's all it is.
Right. It's actually very nice inside. You can see how they want to sell it and someone can turn it into a home for themselves, even with the stigma attached. But it's like, and we all know this because we're from Deer Lodge, obviously, but to those out there listening, yeah, it's actually a very nice place with nice stained glass. And I think right now the price tag on it's about $400,000 if anyone wants to buy it.
Wow.
That is spendy. Do they still have I guess I just imagine like the basement is kind of I wouldn't say unfinished, but like you can kind of tell it was a funeral home, or can you not even tell that?
You can kind of tell, but
maybe it kind of reminds.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, it kind of reminds you of the basement in the St. Mary's Center, kind of like that. Kind of a couple of random rooms here and there, but
sure.
Like I said, if you never knew the history, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, it's just so unbelievable, annoying how people are boycotting this thing because they're acting like we actually had dead bodies and coffins and all this shit in there. How dare you shit on my grandpa's grave? What the fuck are you even talking about?
Hey, and this just in, we just got a second voicemail on our machine. That's what I was checking over there. Another boycott message that I got to fill you in on too.
So we're going to Kelly's going to fill us in. Those of you who aren't from Deer Lodge, Montana, again, to recap the story is we decided to do a haunted house inside an old building that used to be a funeral home. It has been ran on funeral home for over a year. So people in town are boycotting it because they're emotionally attached to it or something. You'd have to ask them because I don't even fucking know. This has gotten so crazy. We've been harassed, all these things on Facebook, voicemails now. And it's gotten to the point where we've actually reached out to local TV stations, and the TV station's coming to Deer Lodge tomorrow to do a story on the chaos with this whole thing. It's gotten so fucking crazy. Yeah, KXLF is coming to Deer Lodge tomorrow. We're gonna sit down with an interview with them tomorrow. Yeah.
That's a master stroke of marketing by you. That's what that is. I know the people that don't like it won't like to hear that, but that's exactly what it is. It's like amazing marketing.
I mean, Kelly, because we got so many views just because of the negative stuff was happening on Facebook, that I kind of threw out the idea, half joking to Kelly, and then Kelly went out and contacted this guy that we know and he's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do a story on it.
Yeah, it was John Amy. He's one of the lead reporters for KXLF. I just so happened to be in a play with them in Butte in 2017, so I know him pretty well. And yeah, I was just like, hey, man, we got some controversy doing a haunted house. If you got a slow news day, and immediately I'll be there at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow.
They're always looking for stories. This one's juicy, though. This is going to be really fun and interesting. Kelly, tell them about the voicemail you received this morning about the Creep Show.
Well, I don't know if it would be kosher, but do you want me just to play it for you?
Well, this is a pretty
The answer is yes.
Yeah, is that okay with you, Mike?
Well, there's two, and the second one's extremely juicy. It just came in, so fuck it. You know what?
This seems to be like a venting episode, so we're all going to kind of vent a little bit. So yeah,
I guess. I mean, we can always edit and post, as we always say.
Not happening. No. You saw my edits to the last episode. I didn't really hardly edit anything.
I gotta do some. Give me a second. I just gotta do
All right.
some maneuvering here.
All right, so we got the voicemails coming in here from Kelly. Yeah, my favorite part of the last episode that I did edit was I went to that guy's profile. Look at me, this big fish I caught. Look at me.
Yeah, you got a little personal there. The one that like is, I don't know, it's not like surprising's not the right word, but disappointing is like they're going after like the actors. Like, come on, stop.
It's ridiculous. The people were telling us all the time that when the people saying stuff. So this is, I'll go further in this comment today that I just pulled up. Do not mistake our silence for approval. Such disrespect for your family's legacy. So this is a different family that had a breaking off with the people that actually own the funeral home, and now they're suddenly acting like they're great friends or something. So like the disrespect for your family's legacy. The funeral home son is the one that is like having us do this at the place. Like the guy who died would have been in the creep show with us. Like, so their comments are beyond fucking stupid.
Okay. Sorry, I just said now he is in a way with us.
Yeah, he kind of is, I guess.
Okay, I'm kind of doing a balancing act here, so I'm just gonna play these and we can talk about it. I'm gonna mute until the guy says his name at first, and I want to make Pat do some extra tech here. So I'll just mute, and then you guys can listen to these two.
Actually, just play it. I can do the tech work. I'll do the tech work on it.
All right, fuck it. You heard him, folks. All right, here we go. And tell me if it's. I don't know if I can turn this up, so hopefully you can hear it. Let me know if not. Here we go. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is. And I live in the street, and I just noticed that the banner that you had with the dual funeral home is up, and I'm totally against this, and I wish you would cancel it at this facility. I believe it is totally disrespectful to all people that had a service there, and I would just ask you not to do this at the funeral home. Please, don't do this. Thank you.
That wasn't too bad. That was a proper, like, nice way to ask.
Resident here and live on Clark Street, and I want you to know what you're doing is very offensive to me at the funeral home, especially with all the suicides and troubled teenagers. And how dare you have that right next to my house? This is totally satanic, and what you're doing, God will hold you accountable, and the blood of all these people going through the door will be on your hands. I ask you to please reconsider, please cancel this show. This is horrible, this is satanic, it's offensive, and it's disgusting. Thank you.
Wow, she's dropping the wrath of God on you. She's saying this is on your hands. The blood will be in your hands. Holy shit, man. This is small town for you.
This is satanic. This is satanic, and the wrath of God is going to be on us. What?
That one gives me the chills a little bit, because I mean, people are. I just feel sorry for people. Like, what's wrong with you? This is our 10th year, so where were you since 2012? We've been doing this shit since 2012, and guess what? This isn't even our most offensive theme. So where the fuck you been?
Can I ask you guys something? First of all, I know you guys, and I know that you care about the community, and that you're not trying to like really hurt people, and it sounds like well, I mean, I used to leave prank calls like that to people, so I mean that would be funny if somebody was like pranking you guys, and but let's assume that it's real. I think it is. That person might really be suffering, and I know you guys don't wish that on her or anybody, and I wonder if you could find a way to turn it into a positive, maybe just for one person, maybe just for her. And it doesn't have to be her, but it's just like, if she left a number, if there's a way to like to bring her over there and just kind of show her and have her be a part of it and say, look, here's the situation, and then if she's still shitty to you, then hey, then the blood's on her hands. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like, have you guys like thought about that a little bit? Because I've heard some people have reached out to me about this. It's kind of funny.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say any names, but you know, there's some people who are connected to some of the other people who are, you know, and I don't know, it to me, I know what you guys are doing. But and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that people are jumping on the bandwagon. And I think your last podcast really nailed it. Like just the way you guys are talking about this pylon thing, and it is a cultural thing that we're going through. But part of me has empathy too for these people, because it's like, look, like you guys aren't seeing this. Like you're not seeing what it actually is. I mean, obviously, you know, Stuart Jewell, it's fucking Lee Jewell's son, and yeah, and guess what? Like Lee would be there joking around with it, but apparently Lee's I don't know, I heard through the grapevine that like maybe someone in the Jewell family is not happy with it, and you know, it's a lot of Deer Lodge drama that I don't need to get involved in, but you guys are right in the middle of it, and I just think that that there's got to be a way to maybe turn it into a positive, and I don't know if you guys have thought about that.
Yeah, look, Mike, we talked today, Pat and I, about going on doing a, you know, something on Cutler Brothers, or, you know, just acknowledging the conflict and saying, hey, look, we're not satanic. We've been doing this for 10 years. It's just a fun thing. It's an empty building. It's bringing economic commerce into town. Most people don't understand what that is. But I think KXLF, we were saying how like the conduit can't be Cutler Brothers. Cutler Brothers is Cinemark or AMC or whatever. All Cutler Brothers does is say, hey, this event's going on, this movie's going on, come check it out. It's not to talk about politics or people's emotions or anything. Das Fruit is all comedy, you know, that's all it is. So tomorrow on KXLF, I've already thought about what I'm going to say. Is just what I just said. This is a building. We get how people's emotions are running high. But if you came in, you'd see that it is absolutely no longer a funeral home. There is no furniture in there. It is just walls and sheetrock and plumbing. You know, that's all the place is. So tomorrow, I think we'll either alleviate more problems or cause more problems. We'll see.
Is there a part of you that's like worried that someone's going to come in and try and like mess it up during the shows?
No, it's all talk. Anybody that has a problem with this, I mean, someone might come up there to like the ticket booth and say, I am against this. But I mean, dude, with the people we have in there, no one's going to fuck with it, because they know they'll just be shut down immediately. They know in the back of their minds that all of their worries and fears and emotions are unjustified. They know that. And the more they think about it, they'll be like, I don't want to go over there. And if they do, they'll just have even a bigger wake up session and feel like a complete and other fucking moron, you know?
Have you, the thing I would say, Mike, is, and this is, I went live and I discussed this on my live Facebook page today, is that not a single one of these people, even in these voicemails, have asked a basic fucking question of, so why are you guys doing it at this location? Or what came to this conclusion? The people are pissed off. They've never asked any questions. They never tried to ask. They never tried to come get the actual information, what's going on. They don't even know what the fuck's going on. And then when they do try to talk about it, they babble on about satanic rituals or cults or like this crazy one. And it's insanity. I mean, people have lost their minds. I think COVID is maybe, if this doesn't come on the heels of COVID, and to a lot of people, COVID's still happening. To me, it never happened. I'm not going to back down from that, because the stats just don't back it up. But
Patrick always has to round the wagons on.
Yeah, there you go. Hard left turn there.
Yeah, he will circle the wagons to his population stat at any given moment. You don't know what the subject could be.
Hey, you know, so like listening to that first message, you know, the guy said, well, I just recently had a service there, and obviously he feels an attachment there. You know, but
good.
Oh yeah. So
I was saying that place has been closed over my ass.
Did he actually say that? I just think he said he was on Clark Street, because the two people said they're on Clark Street.
I thought he said something about going to a service there or whatever. But anyways, here's the thing you brought up in your last podcast. Nobody had a fucking problem with the old prison, and people actually fucking died there, and it was bad. It was really
gruesome
fucking bad.
deaths.
And got
raped. Gruesome death.
Got raped and executed.
And then Kelly brought up something that said, hey man, so like what's what's stopping somebody from buying that and turning it into a restaurant where they can say, oh, you can't fucking eat food where they used to have that, sacrilege. I mean, it's like, so part of it is a bit of education maybe, but the problem is we're so fucking divided that people are in their echo chambers and there really is no solving it on social media. So I think what you guys, what might work, I don't know if you would want to do this, but it would be interesting if you guys had a town hall, like a real fucking town hall, like in the middle of fucking Main Street or whatever, like here, and have everybody show up. No fucking social media, no goddamn cell phones. Everybody just shows up and has a fucking town hall and say, look, we're gonna just listen to everybody and just take notes. And that way, if people want to be shitty, it's like, hey, I'm looking in the town hall log and I don't see your name here, like, I mean, I don't know, like there has to be some kind of and I say this because you guys can do this in a small town. Like in a big city, you can't fucking, like, no one gives a shit. Like it's all anonymous, but these are people that or that someone knows someone, and people are connected in that town to, like, you really don't know who's offended by this because it's so amplified, right? So but then the other side of me, the comedy side of me, thinks, hey man, this is fucking great comedy material. Like if people showed up to protest this shit, like that would only add to your legend, like so much so. And if you do, you got to have like Jimmy Tilly or somebody in disguise also protesting. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think,
yeah.
I was gonna say that also, like, and I've talked about social media, but I think listening to those voicemails, like, who's pushing?
Somebody on.
Wait a second. What's the wait? Just a sec. Sorry. Gosh dang it. I had a video auto playing there. What I was going to say is, based on the voicemails, it seems that those two people that aren't really on social media, they basically just live on the street and they literally just saw the sign up on the funeral home and now they're offended and triggered. And this is the other part of these people are probably super far right, religious right, and they don't understand that a funeral home really isn't. I'm not saying it's not religious, but it's not dedicated to a specific religion. You're not going to walk in there and see a bunch of pictures of Jesus and crosses and all these things. So I think the other angle of it, trying to get the other perspective from other people, is they think a bunch of Jesus religious stuff happened here, and it's a very holy, sacred place. Like I think a lot of people think we're going into the fucking Vatican and doing a satanic ritual. Yeah. Honestly.
and two notes on that. Our mom, when we were little kids, did a haunted house through the St. Mary Center, where there actually is a chapel, crucifixes, kneelers, Again, it wasn't like anything bad, just like ours isn't anything bad. And then the other thing is the neighbor that's actually closest to this venue, right across the street, she's 100% for it. So these people saying we're your neighbor, like, not really. There's not a lot of, it's the high school, and, there's not a lot of people around there, not a lot of houses around there.
Oh, you look at that, where the let's go ahead, Matt.
I was just saying, I'm pretty sure the guy who called today, I saw him on my way to work this morning, taking a picture. Some old dude, and he is definitely not a neighbor, because I kind of circled the block a couple times to see what he was doing. But because he walked down the street into his house somewhere. But yeah, I saw him. He's an old dude, and he was definitely taking a picture with his cell phone. I wanted to say something, but I was like, fuck it.
No, I mean, it's yeah, go ahead, Mahomes.
I don't even really mind. Like, the first voicemail that's just someone saying, you know what, I don't like this. I'm going to ask you to not do it. And I almost in the tone of his voice, he's like, you're probably not going to give a fuck, but at least I'm giving you my 2 cents. I'm not going to go try and cancel your whole thing. I'm just going to call you directly. I'm going to handle this like an old school way, and I'm going to leave a voicemail. You'll listen to it, and at least I've said my piece, and then on with it. The second one, when you come, like, she came a little stronger than the first. So I think that was like the kind of polar ends of the spectrum of, like, first guy was like, hey, I don't agree with this. Here's my name, whatever. And then the second one was like, that guy was the mild buffaloing, and the next lady was like the 7 alarm spicy.
Well, I just got that voicemail like after the show started. I just looked over because I was thinking about playing that first one, And again, we'll blur out the name and everything, confidentiality, whatever. But you left these fucking voicemails on this message machine. It's fair game for us to use that on the Prison City podcast. And when they see the droves of people, it's just, I don't know. I just feel bad and I know that I shouldn't. I just feel bad and I know I shouldn't. It just drives me nuts because it's like, why are you making a deal out of this? Like every business in town Pump, Safeway, IGA, Prison Pizza, 4Bs, every business in town is going to make not hundreds, but thousands of dollars off of this creep show. And we're the one taking it in the chops. They're throwing us through the fucking wall. We're taking it all for the town. You don't see the rest of the town stand up. Well, I mean, you do kind of, but it's just ridiculous. They don't understand simple economics and dying towns. And I think it's funny that cancel culture has finally hit the pavement in Deer Lodge.
Oh yeah, big
well,
time.
Kelly, for perspective of the people listening, how much just like ballpark do you think is the out of town people coming to the creep shows?
95%.
There you go.
Yeah. 95%.
Well, I'll just add in what Kelly said. I actually don't feel bad at all, and I hope you save those voicemails for the news tomorrow. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well, also too, I mean, I think your initial response, I know, Patrick, if somebody attacks Patrick, he fucking throws the gloves off, right? And he just starts saying like, and I don't think people are prepared for that. And I think that that's also what fueled this a little bit, just from my understanding, is that Patrick just went to town a little bit and then it just got out of hand. But I also think that, hey man, you were attacked and you guys aren't in the business of people pleasing. I mean, you are if people, think that your shit is funny and they like what you do. But at the same time, it's like, people aren't supposed to like the same movie. Like people aren't always supposed to just be into the same thing. And and
Mike, I seriously think along those lines, I seriously think that 99.6% of people could care less or they support it. Like that many people. And the people that come to it, most of those people aren't even going to know that this is going on. They're just going to go, oh my God. That's how I would be. There's a funeral home in Libby, Montana that's doing a haunted house. I wouldn't think twice about like, oh, what's the town going to think about that?
I think though what we're also seeing is, and this is not just in Deer Lodge, but small towns across the nation, there are still, with underground cracks in our society, these very religious right people. Anybody that grew up in Deer Lodge ran into these people all the time, and there's still these super religious right people. They're almost, listen to that last final, they're almost, call it what it is, they're fucking fanatical.
I mean, and I mean, one solution is you could put on a billboard outside of the funeral home. We're Christian, we respect the dead, happy Halloween. But you know what? But you know what? Why bother? I mean, is that your fucking responsibility to teach people about fucking Halloween on a funeral home that's not even a funeral home, that, by the way, wasn't a funeral home? Like, in the very beginning, it was made into a funeral home. It's like, it's just a fucking town, man. And so, yeah.
What's the suicide thing have to do with it? She mentioned suicide. I don't get that reference.
It's probably, CNN just feeding whatever, gun fucking shooting stats to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows?
Maybe she knew someone that committed suicide that where they housed their body or some shit or something like that. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I would love to listen to those messages because those two people, I was trying to write down their address. It looks like they either live the same place or very close because they're both on the 400 block of Clark Street.
So, I think Kelly mentioned something too, that like Lee Jewell himself would probably be happy that they're doing something, or that he would probably, if he were alive, he'd probably join in, or it is one of those things where that, or maybe it was Mahoney that was saying that, like, didn't you say that you I think when you were talking about, you had that conversation with your family or your wife about, if you just want your service to be happy and have jokes and really it's happy is always better than just creepy, dark nothingness. It's like, hey man, at least you're gonna fucking have some kind of a semblance of happiness there,
Look, I'm not going to throw Stewie Jewell under the bus whatsoever. He offered the place to us, and we absolutely said yes, not thinking there would be a single problem. That didn't even cross our minds, But as far as I know, Stewie had a great relationship with his dad. I don't think there's a falling out. I don't think they hated each other. I think they had a great relationship, and they're very, very similar, according to people that were Lee's age. They said, I had somebody tell me once, you think Stewie's a goofy motherfucker? Well, his dad was twice that or 3 times that. So I don't think he would even be batting an eye at this shit. It's that ridiculous.
No, I remember like a Christmas service. I left a little bit early and I was just hanging out in the back, and Lee was back there, and he was cracking the funniest fucking jokes in the middle of church to me. I just thought it was so hilarious. He was a funny fucking guy. He was a cool ass guy. He was really cool.
I love that your mom did a haunted house in the St. Mary Center, and this is pre-social media, I'm assuming, because no one gave a fuck. No one gives a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was for kids too.
I think that's such a perfect example of pre-social media people thinking I'm gonna, I'm getting on social media to think the exact same way that other people think, and I'm not gonna look at the other side of this argument whatsoever because Facebook's serving me the same bullshit that I want to see every day, and it's making me dumber day after day.
Mahone, do you think so if we did, or they did a haunted house in the funeral home, which I could totally see that growing up here, hey, if but this is before Facebook and stuff. So you're saying basically it would go over without half the controversy or even 5% of it, because it's before Facebook and not everyone can do it. Because I could totally see that even when it's a running place. You know what I mean?
That's the perfect example is your mom did one basically in a church.
Hey, example. Speaking of churches, the Vatican is an actual haunted house. I mean, I know you guys are good Catholic boys, right? But let's be honest. And that's the other thing too, is you guys are fucking Catholic. I mean, you guys are, it's not like you're not. I mean, yeah.
Hey, Mike, my favorite part of my mom's haunted house when we were kids was the 66 miles of gold and silver that she put in the St. Mary's basement. She's like, this is my replica of the Vatican.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Vatican is very different than, Pat has a little experience. Didn't you start a church in Alaska, Pat? And they sent you a priest and shit like that?
Yeah, I was head of a church in Union, Alaska, and I worked with I worked with everyone from the Bishop of Alaska to different priests from all over the world and everything else. So I think I've told the story on here before, but yeah, I had priests coming from Nigeria talk about voodoo. It would blow your mind with that priest from Nigeria. Cool.
Well, Patrick, when you're fighting these people online, you should lead with that. You should be like, I used to run a church, and I'm,
It's like, you don't understand what a real Satanism is. I do voodoo curses and shit. I know a priest that did stuff, man.
This guy, I guess that could be another argument you could give. Instead of I ran a church, I do voodoo curses. All right.
I mean, you want me to take the gloves off? Here we go.
This all stems from one thing, just like the COVID and everything else. It all stems from fear. That's all this is coming from. And I really do feel sorry for these people. But there's no getting through to them. I mean, you're right, Mike. If I could go down there and say, hey, look at this. We got freaking, duct taped, sheets of bullshit hanging off the walls. This is just a joke, this is just a fun thing. But then what, do you do that for every single person that has a problem with everything you do throughout history,
No, this is just to me interesting development with that voicemail, because I heard that voicemail you released today, and I could tell from her intention she's dead serious. She means fucking business.
Well, and Kelly.
No, I couldn't
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. I was just gonna ask. So you were you were talking about making this a positive. Aren't they giving away like money for the best costume at this thing?
Yeah, on Halloween. Yep.
Yeah.
To
$1,000.
sell the piece of real estate that it is. I mean, no one said anything bad about that. How can they have costumes in there? Someone might be dressed up like Sagebrush Sam's last fat old stripper, you know, but you're going to allow that to go through the fucking funeral home, you know, or sorry, the piece of real estate.
Someone dressed up like the devil, maybe. Oh my God, no.
Yeah, it's just they don't have all the pieces together. They don't have all the information, as Pat said earlier today on his Facebook Live. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just sad. It's the first time I've ever been called satanic in my entire life. So I guess we knocked that one off the bucket list.
Really? I was called the devil when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, well, you know, I think what it is they want you to bend the knee, right? And they want you to, you know, what you were saying. Well, what are we going to do that every time? What are we going to apologize every time? What are we going to explain ourselves? Are we going to justify ourselves every time? And the answer to that question is, yeah, that's what they fucking want. And guess what? They're just getting started. And I can get started with you boys on some HR shit if you want to hear a crazy story.
let's hear the HR stuff.
Oh my God. All right. So I work at a publicly traded company, which I will not say. You know, Mahoney and I both work at a publicly traded company, and let's just leave it at that. I mean, you know, we have our own right to our own free speech outside of work. And so I've been working at this place for, you know, almost 4 years. And, you know, I'm a filmmaker, but this is my day job. And, you know, I'm definitely not like a company man, right? Like I was in the warehouse for like 3 years, and then 3.5 years or so. And then I just got recently promoted to the office cubicles, and already there's an HR problem, which I think is fucking hilarious. You know, because it's like, oh shit, like I'm from the warehouse culture where we're literally red pilling people. Like people are walking by and we're like, hey, who killed Kennedy? Huh? Yeah, that's right.
So you're the new Toby off The Office?
Well, you know, and like one of the guys I work with is he's an awesome guy, and he knows more about Kennedy than anybody, right? And he's red pilling me on all this shit. Anyways, so you know, so I'll just fast forward. So I went into work this morning, and you know, I'm in this cubicle. It's, you know, customer service billing. It's, you know, pretty boring job, but I really like the team I'm on, and the guy, my boss, he's my friend, you know, like I got to know him as I worked there, and he plays music, and you know, we've hung out a little bit outside of work, and we usually just bullshit about music and movies and shit like that, right? So anyways, I'm going to work today, and I get this message from HR and ever since COVID, our entire company has changed. Like we've had like a 40% turnover. The entire HR department has turned over 100% in the last like 10 months. And so everybody's new, right? So everybody's a fucking stranger, you know? And so this HR guy calls me and gets on the, you know, I get on the phone, and I'm like, hey, you know, how's it going? And you know, I just figured, oh, this must be like a new onboarding meet and greet. I'm all excited and shit. And he's like, all right. He goes, so do you remember having a conversation in, I won't say my boss's name, in his doorway on October the 15th? And I'm like, October? I'm like, what day is this? And I'm like, hold on. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay. And he goes, yeah, you were talking about the Matrix, the new Matrix movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, totally, yeah, the Matrix movie, yeah, yeah, we were talking about that. And he goes, did you have a conversation about the filmmakers of the Matrix movie? And I'm like, yeah, the Wachowski brothers, yeah, of course, yeah, you know, they changed cinema. I mean, you know, I already know where this is going. I already fucking know where this is going, right? But I don't lead on. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna start talking about the Matrix. Like, if it's not every day HR calls you and starts asking you about the Matrix. So I'm like, all right, yeah, because I fucking love that movie, right? So he goes, well, he goes, was the gender of the filmmakers brought up? I'm like, hold on. Can I call you? Because I'm like in the fucking cubicles and people can hear me. I'm like, so I had to call him on my cell phone and going like, because I know where this is fucking going. And I don't know if one of these people ratted me out around here, because obviously somebody heard a conversation and they turned us into HR, right? So, you know, because it was just me and my buddy and another guy and my boss talking in his doorway about the Matrix movie, you know? Yeah. So I go in another room and I call him. He goes, yeah. He goes, so he goes, so he goes, did you call the Wachowski brothers, the Wachowski sisters? You know, and because it was alleged that I said that, and I was like, oh yeah, well, I just started telling them the truth. I'm like, you know, it's public knowledge that they both were men and they both transitioned, you know, into, you know, they both have women's names, and the whole Matrix is about transitioning, and that's been very clear and very, very public. And then he stops me. He's like, I'm not here to philosophize. I'm just getting a statement. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, okay, so yeah, you know. And he's like, well, you know, that's offensive. And I'm like, yeah, but he goes, you know, talking about their gender. And then he goes, I have another quote for you. He goes, did you say, I hope they're not going to make the new Matrix all about trans stuff? and I'm like, oh man. I was like, I don't know. Like I don't know if I said that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I totally, like, I'm pretty sure I said that, but I can't like say that to him. And so, you know, I'm kind of leading on. And then I'm like, okay, so, all right. So yeah, we're just talking about the Matrix. And he goes, that alone would be fine. Or not fine. He's like, that alone is one thing, I think he said. And then he goes, did you mention Caitlyn Jenner in the conversation? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. You know, and I'm like, I think Caitlyn Jenner was mentioned, yes, you know. And he goes, did you refer to Caitlyn Jenner as Bruce Jenner? And I'm thinking in my mind, because I always say like, oh, you mean that dude Bruce Jenner? But again, this is like, I'm like from warehouse culture, you know, so I can't fucking say that. And I'm just like, and then I stopped him. I'm like, okay, what are the rules? I'm like, can you tell me what the rules are? Like, am I not allowed to say Bruce Jenner? And he goes, it's almost like he was offended that he was lecturing me. And he goes, saying Bruce Jenner, he goes, it's widely known in the trans community that saying Bruce Jenner is saying the dead named.
The what?
And I'll say it again, the dead named. And he says, that's what trans people call it. And I said, like, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around, I'm like, oh, you mean when somebody transitions, if you try to call them their previous name, it's the dead named, and that you shall not speak? Is that what it is? And he's just like, yes. He's like, this is very widely known. And then he goes, did you say that all trans people are clowns? And I laughed audibly, because I didn't fucking say that. What I said was we're living in fucking clown world. Right? But I can't say that, you know, because it's fucking HR. So anyways, you know, at this point, I'm just like, dude, like, is my job in fucking jeopardy here? I'm like, am I not allowed to say the word Bruce Jenner? Am I not allowed to have a fucking opinion about the overwhelming trans agenda that's in our face? I mean, first of all, I got no problem with gays or trans, or I'm friends with a lot of gay people. Like, I got no problem with people who are naturally trans, and even I have a lot of sympathy for the young kids that are suffering from gender dysphoria, media onset gender dysphoria. My buddy in Oregon, his fucking 13-year-old daughter said that like 2/3 of her class identifies as trans. Like, okay, that's not fucking natural. I'm sorry, but like there's a fucking movement there. This is absolutely in our face. And guess what? Caitlyn Jenner is a fucking public figure. She's a public figure, for one, and two, that dude Bruce Jenner is absolutely. I mean, he fucking killed a lady. Did you know that? Caitlyn Jenner ran somebody over with her fucking car, right? But guess what? I bet you the person that's accusing us doesn't fucking know that shit at all. And it's like, and wait a minute, until it's actually illegal to say the word Bruce Jenner, don't I have the right to fucking call Caitlyn Jenner Bruce Jenner? Because it's a matter of history. We're looking at the fucking Olympic champion. So you're telling me that I can't call the male Olympic champion a man? Like, is that really where? Now, I didn't say all this shit, right? But I mean, it's like, so it's really hard for me because this was my first time in this HR. I've never been reported to HR about anything, and it had me really thinking about, man, do I really want to like maybe this isn't for me? Like, this is not the environment. Like, I don't want to be having to look over my shoulder, what I say, who's listening, it feels like it's fucking, like, I don't want to say the N word. Yeah. Nazis. The real N word. Guess what? The real N word is Nazis, right? I mean, come on. There's a lot.
You're in HR though, right? You just moved to HR?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I'm in customer service, which is not HR.
Oh, okay. I thought
you
transferred to HR. I was like, bro, well, you should just question yourself, call yourself out.
Yeah, that wouldn't that be awesome? I would be HR's worst nightmare, dude. Like if I was in HR, like I would be fucking glorious, but no, they would spiral if I was in HR. But anyways, so that was my day, huh? What's that?
I said you should get the rule book. Get the rule book to your company, then in the glossary, look up where it says Bruce Jenner and the definition after that. And that's
so
kind of where,
I think that to try to see it from their point of view, I mean, look, the Dave Chappelle special just came out, right? And so that's super hot topic. And, somebody was just listening into our conversation and they felt triggered and they felt compelled to go to HR. And so this culture is very dangerous because, and this is going back to what we were saying earlier, they want you to take the knee. And this is not over. They're going to have a meeting later in the week where I assume they want me to apologize, in which case I'll be letting you know when I'm moving to Montana. Because I'm not going to apologize for calling Caitlyn Jenner Bruce Jenner, and referring to Bruce Jenner as an Olympic champion, Yeah,
it's so out of control, man. I mean, all this shit is so out of control, and it's never going to stop until we stop it. Like, again, you want to be gay, you want to be trans, you want to cut your dick off, you want to, go get some tits at the plastic surgeon, do whatever you want. Just why do I have to be a part of that? Why do I have to feed into that? I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to kill you. In fact, if you're not a douchebag, I'll have a beer with you and we can have a good conversation. I want to know about you. That's not me. So I want to know about you, but it's never going to stop until we just say, no, I'm done with this fucking horse shit. We're not, because it's just the slippery slope is just getting slipperier and slipperier. They're just coating it with fucking butter. It's never going to end until we say, I'm done playing in this fairy tale land,
Yeah, I think it's pretty insane because I mean they're treating Mike Freese here like he's trying to do a satanic ritual inside a funeral home. So
yeah.
Do we know when we turned, like at what point that this like got, is there like one dividing line that everyone's like, oh yeah, this is when everything got like super like
Yeah,
remember,
yeah. It was
remember
that dude.
Eminem
It was that dude,
growing
Bruce
up?
Jenner.
Do you think that's what it was? It was that transition? Because like think of the stuff Eminem said growing up, and I loved his music and great beats. Like,
Yeah.
and there was controversy there, but never like
Dude,
to like the Dave Chappelle extent.
Eminem was talking about beating and killing his mother of his child in front of his child, throwing her in the back of a fucking car and throwing her in a river. And he's performing at the Super Bowl this year because he meets the quota of being
well, the NFL, man, they've long been, obviously the shit Gruden said, like you can't, especially in an email, like just be smarter than that at any given point.
Yeah.
But like Leonard Little and Dante Stallworth killed people drunk driving, and they both played in the NFL after that.
Oh yeah, big time. There's a lot of hypocrisy with what you can or can't say now, and who can say it and what can say it. Like, Mike, I'll say this: is it's not always going to be like this. Just because I'd say every couple of years it's a new issue. It's like flip the fucking coin, and they'll pick another issue. So the issue they have now, say with the Bruce Jenner thing, where we got in trouble for, a couple of years it won't even fucking matter. They'll be like, well, that's cool now. Well, society says that's cool now. The media says that's cool now to joke around about stuff, and the coin will be some fucking other random thing that you can't say. They're making the fucking social norms and the rules up as they fucking go. And these people, like Kelly said, they're all playing into fucking fear. This person, this HR person, whoever this is, whenever these people come at you, whether they're calling you a satanic cult or whatever, or whether they're accusing you of all these different things at work, what they're saying is really, they're just saying about themselves. They're saying about their own insecurities. That's nothing to fucking do with you. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, Dave Chappelle, man, I really didn't watch him growing up. And now the last year or two, like, he is my fucking hero. Dave Chappelle for president, honestly. And I've watched a lot of his shit now. And he's just talking about, like, I am for the people. I'm not talking to who owns my ass, Netflix, or sounds like Netflix been pretty cool with him, or whoever did the Chappelle show. There's a long story about him walking away. You should check it out. But he's like, I am saying what is for the people, by the people. What I hear from him is what 95% of people want to hear, or more, and that's cool. I think he's onto something. Dave Chappelle fucking knows what's going on.
The biggest thing is, I want to tell people right now tonight, this is my biggest point in this entire podcast episode so far, is it really, we all try to do it whether you're left or right wing. It really doesn't have anything to do with Republicans or Democrats or liberals or conservatives. It's just both sides try to cancel you over some fucking stupid bullshit. Like the religious right that's all like, oh, I'm against cancel culture. And all this. These are the same people like Bill O'Reilly that wanted fucking the rapper canceled at the White House when Obama was there because he had some bad lyrics. No, he wanted the rapper. God, he was on the Railroad show on AMC. Anybody know his fucking name? He was
DMX.
The guy from like Hamilton?
Yeah, I think so. No, he's bald.
Fat Joe.
Let me just look it up. But he wanted him canceled. And you know what he was doing? Let me just look it up. Let me look it up really quick because he wanted to get somebody out of prison that he felt was convicted wrongly
Convicted.
Yeah, wrongly convicted. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
he's a big dude. Like,
I wish I could, if I could remember the Railroad show you were talking about, I could definitely answer it.
Oh, it's Jelly Roll.
Oh yeah, the famous rapper Jelly Roll. You might remember some of his famous hits called Peanut Butter Jelly Time. I think that's the one most people know.
Let me.
Pat's right. It's on all sides of the political spectrum. It's not even political anymore. It's just cancel, cancel, cancel. And I just ask the question, why? It's like canceling creative people. Anybody that has a mind or an imagination or is trying to do anything, it's cancel them.
Well, but it's cancel unless we agree with you. And that's the fucking thing. It's like, wait a minute. So you can't say this thing, because you disagree with it, or the Kyrie Irving thing. It's like, yeah, it's all just it's one side pushing it, and
Right.
and they're not going to stop. And it's, you should show them that Kamala Harris thing, Patrick.
Oh yeah, here, let me pull this up. He's showing this here.
This is from today.
Common was the rapper, and if anybody knows Common's pretty fucking softcore. He's a pretty chill fucking dude.
I mean, he's basically like a poet. He's hardly a rapper.
Dude, the guy is chill as fucking. Bill O'Reilly wanted him to be canceled at Obama's White House because he was trying to get this guy that was wrongly convicted or whatever.
So what is the political affiliation? I know you probably want to say libertarian, but because I'll look at that, left, right, it doesn't matter. I'll look at whoever who have completely drastically different viewpoints, and I'll say, no, you're full of fucking bullshit. Shut the fuck up. I'll say that on any guest on Fox News, any guest on CNN, across the board. You're either full of bullshit or you're not,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is, honestly, in my opinion, a direct political affiliation to not being canceled or whatever. Because, like I said, I've kind of been boycotted by every political party at this point from somebody that has that view. The person that's no longer on the show, he was libertarian, by the way. So I would not fully embrace libertarian as being the.
There's different types of libertarians. I mean, the LP endorsed Black Lives Matter because they were trying to get the votes.
Yeah, there's different votes, libertarian, different Republicans. So it doesn't matter. It's just people just not being fucking morons. Here we go. Oh, here's not Mike. So what? You sent me this earlier. Yeah.
Doesn't she look like a demon? She looks like she's summoning.
We should put her in the creep show.
Oh my god, dude! I mean, have you ever heard her cackle before?
I don't watch the news anymore, man.
Here, for our audience listeners out there, we have Biden Harris ripped for unveiling first ever national gender strategy as economy worsens. And the reason they're being ripped, this is from the dailywire.com, a conservative news site. The reason they're being ripped for that is, as the headline states, the economy is getting worse, and they're unveiling a national gender strategy instead of focusing on the economy. Here's one of the things I'll say, though. Yeah. So, anyways, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, they're pushing the gender thing. I mean, look at the Netflix thing. Like I'm nobody, but like my HR department is like, you cannot say the name that is dead. He fucking said that to me. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, what are we doing? And then I see this Kamala Harris thing dated today. Like, they're really, okay, so the war has started. They're beating the fucking drums, and what Mahoney was saying, when did this start? Well, started a while ago, but here we are. And this is going to lead into the Project Bluebeam, because this absolutely plays into this agenda of confusing everybody, mixing. I don't know if you guys know what, like, the satanic, what is it? Is it Moloch, or it's like the goat that's like male and female with the fucking, it's all about mixing the gender, but that's what they're doing. They are absolutely pushing this for a reason, because we know this, just like the Black Lives Matter thing, they don't give a fuck about trans people. Kamala Harris doesn't give a shit about you or anybody else other than her. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they really cared about Black people, they'd be in Africa fighting malaria, like, or in the streets of Chicago, like the Black Lives Matter thing. It's such a fucking, like, they don't actually care. But we're already past that. That's so 2020 at this point. Like, now they're beating the fucking war drums now. And Dave Chappelle is one of those people at the forefront of this, who is standing up. And, and like, look at Trump with his brand new social media. And it's like, shit's about to change, whether it's going to be a hot war or not. But this is all going to play into we'll just call it Project Bluebeam right now. But this is absolutely part of it, is to get everybody divided, because that's the only way to topple. That's the first thing you do, is you have to divide the people,
Yeah, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on, if you question why this is happening now in our society, why is everybody offended by everything that anybody does? A big reason, and this goes against what mainstream media wants you to believe, is like, mainstream media wants you to believe that everyone's poor, everyone's out of luck, bad news everywhere. Truth is, we're so fucking rich as a country. We are so rich as a country there's so much, like we've had the discussion before, for any of us to run out of completely zero money and not be able to put food on our table in America, it's basically fucking impossible. So people don't really have to work like they used to. They don't have to dedicate themselves to their jobs like they used to. They don't have to have mounds of money and focus on their work anymore. So more people out there, because we're so fucking rich, they have all this time and energy to spend on these worthless conversations and these worthless controversies that we're having constantly. So they have something, instead of focus on their 40 or 60 hour work job, they're now focusing on, oh shit, we need to start a controversy and cancel Dave Chappelle or cancel this or cancel that. Why? Because we're so fucking rich. So it's like that kind of created this new world that we're living in where everything's fucking canceled and boycotted, regardless of your political or religious beliefs. Now, with that said, Mike did mention the social media thing by Trump, and I want to pull this up right now. We can discuss this. This is really fucking interesting. So basically, I've been on the internet since I was born, and so I know a lot about this social media stuff and companies and technology companies and things like that. So Trump basically decided to start his new social media platform. Finally, it's taken him almost a year between when he got knocked off Twitter and Facebook and everything. And it's expecting right now more than 75 users. Sorry.
25 million. It'll probably be about 75 users, just like the 30 teraflops of shit, whatever the MyPillow guy had that never worked.
You mean our highest, most viewed podcast episode of all time was on the MyPillow guy? Like at least half that episode was talking about MyPillow guy.
Hey, Mahoney, ironically, too, Pat played Mike Lindell in our last improv show. Random from the audience, they just gave him Mike Lindell. It's fucking hilarious.
That's hilarious.
But the gist of it is, like, he's starting this new social media called Truth Media, and these guys are saying numbers that they're preparing for 75 million people, and I don't know how accurate that is or not. And I tip my hat off to Trump or anybody that tries to start their own social media company, because it's like a monopoly, whether you think they're good or bad. It's kind of Google, Facebook. It's all kind of turned into like a fucking monopoly almost, where it's like they have so much fucking power over our communication. So I'm always going to support someone that's going to go out there and try to put a different media platform on. Apple can ban apps now if they don't disagree with the speech on it. It's fucking crazy the shit they can do now. So it's called Truth Social Media is what it's called. And I guess my biggest thing is that, like, it's great he's doing it, but it's really fucking hard to be a successful social media giant. It's not something you just kind of throw out there and say, all right, you kick me off mine, I'm going to start my own social media stuff. You know, it's one of those things that's like, I don't know what the chance this thing really has of succeeding, to tell you the truth. I'm very skeptical of this one. What do you think about this, Mahomes?
Well, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if there's patents on algorithms or things like that. That is probably what makes Facebook so successful, is like they have this certain stuff that attracts you to these certain things, where, I mean, there, however many people voted for Trump are going to likely be interested in his platform. But it's not like, I don't anticipate a whole lot of great conversation. I think it's going to be more of the same shit as Facebook is just, here's the same opinion you're hearing on Facebook. It's just in a new spot now, just over and over. But I really, like, to your point, I don't know how hard it's going to be, because I just don't know enough about kind of the laws that they have, like Facebook has, to protect their social media platforms and algorithms and certain things like that. So it'll be tough. I mean, Facebook owns Instagram. They pretty much own the fucking internet. So
that's
going to be tough.
Yeah. And Mahoney, what if I told you we're not leaving the funeral home?
Well, Kelly, you could say that on this new platform, right?
Yeah. I'd be called into HR if it was anywhere else.
I almost lost my sip of Gatorade on because I just thought of his, like the ESPN 30 for 30. What if I told you? Yeah, that's how I had that.
The problem that they're going to face is, and Parler was the one that got taken down. They blamed all the attacks on Parler, which is kind of a funny scapegoat. But the problem is, if they do anything, Apple and all these platforms and Google, they can all take this app down at any second, any chance they want to. So it's like this monopoly they're going up against. It's so fucking powerful. And they all like lock arms together when they took off Parler. It wasn't like just Apple did it. It was Apple, Google, all these people locked arms to ban Parler pretty much from the internet. So the smart thing I would say is they're setting this up in a way that it can't just be, I'm sure they can't be just erased from the internet instantly.
Yeah. And that shows you how powerful Trump is. He's Manhattan Mafia, you know, and that's why he became president, because like you don't build in Manhattan without having the mafia say so. I mean, he's like old school, like Trump. The Trump family is very powerful, and the Clinton family is another mafia, and they were at war with each other. You know, that's all it is. It's just more sophisticated now.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt?
There must be a delay because every time I try to talk, I get cut off or something. So that's all I have to say.
Hey, while you guys were mentioning the creep show again, wouldn't it be funny if for the creep show you guys did a mock funeral out in the yard of the funeral home, just kind of like a right,
Oh my
just
Lord.
to kind of just to make it kind of more creepy.
No,
I got to tell you that I don't think that would sit well. I don't think many people would get that joke.
Well, yeah, it's Halloween, you know.
Well, then I think you could have a good case. Maybe we are a satanic cult of some sort.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay, well, maybe you could make it a gay funeral, and it would be okay then, right? Because you know you can't criticize that which shall not be criticized, or you're going against gay rights.
I'm sure that for some people that would probably be enough, but for this lady that left that voicemail, she just turned into a gay satanic cult.
Yeah, so she's probably based in that sense, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they understand, most people, that we are for, like, even that lady that called, we are for them. It's like, yeah, we are against Satan, we are against evil,
Mhm.
we are against
Yeah.
corruption, we are against lies.
Yeah.
We're with you, bitch.
Yeah, you're not all that different, you know, and that's the thing, is that a lot of people, even on Facebook or whatever, that even whether you're Democrat or Republican, like I see a lot of people that you know, before the culture war, it's like we're really not that different. Like you're still the same person, you know. It's just, but it is a slippery slope that is it's getting annoying saying that over and over again, this slippery slope, but it's so fucking true. You know, what is it, Pat? 2 weeks to flatten the curve turns into fucking, you know, mandatory passports. And I mean, it's like, it is a slippery slope, you know.
Oh yeah, it's insane. I'm now here in a dark winter and all these things. You know, it's just the reason all these conspiracy theories are coming out, that some are true and some are easily disproven, but people keep sharing them, is because they've been lied to. And the insane things that have happened these past year and a half or so, you know, it's been fucking insanity. You know, you shouldn't believe your news. You shouldn't believe CNN or Fox News or whoever you listen to. You shouldn't waste your fucking time listening to them, because they just, all they done is fucking lie and lie and lie and lie. And you sit there and say, well, this, I got my mom sent me this one, like Locksmith, Lockheed Martin or something conspiracy about releasing a virus. And everyone's had these sent to them or whatever. And it's like, man, it's not totally true, but the shit they say in there, it's been true so far. So it's like, it's very easy to believe something like that when the media and the government has fucking been 100% true in that conspiracy so far. So it's like, who was a quote that they said, to control a population, or the first thing you need to do is release a pandemic or convince people there's a pandemic, and then you can start making laws or whatever. What was that?
Rockefeller.
Or was that Rockefeller? And it was that 1984 or one of those books started out like that too, like not Brave New World, but yeah.
That was over 100 years ago. But I mean, Rockefeller definitely said that. I just saw the quote. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have said it, but you know, I really believe that there's a great awakening going on, and that's why like shit is so amplified. Like in our lifetime, shit should not be so crazy as it is in one person's lifetime. It should be very subtle. And I see this, the stock market's the exact same way. For whatever reason, human beings and the universe like things that reconcile, like things that come back and boomerang back to a complete reconciliation. You know, if the stock market goes up 500 points, it's going to come down 500 points. It might be a week, it might be 10 years from now, but it's going to reconcile. And this is so ridiculously over bloated that there's going to be a reconciliation. And I really think that's a great awakening. They're doing this because they're losing power. So this is a good thing that we should all sleep well on tonight when we go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, we almost need some comic relief from Mahoney here. We need like a Gimli moment in Lord of the Rings, you know.
I mean, the one thing I'll say that I've been thinking for a while is just, if you ever think a politician specifically going for the highest office gives two shits about you, you are incorrect. They don't, and they never have, and they never will.
Except for
Ever.
Donald Trump.
Mm. Yeah, you know,
that guy's never cared about anybody but Donald Trump, no matter what he'd have you think.
Liar. So I have a few things to say on just the whole idea of lies, and like, you know, we were just talking about, you know, I think it's not important to understand the lies, but just to understand that there is a lie, right, and then move on, you know, and just kind of see things from their perspective, and then you look at your own life and you move forward, right? Like, I don't know, Pat, in your crazy conspiracy, have you ever looked into like soul harvesting before? Do you know what that is? Like energy harvesting?
So I was just on a YouTube video last night, and this guy, he's the same guy. I sent you the video, but it's a long video, so I didn't expect anybody to watch it. But it's that same guy. I've listened to him for several years. He's just a law of attraction, very spiritual law of attraction guy that talks about the different energies, and every energy that we get is what we're putting out, and just quantum physics, all that stuff. Really, really intelligent guy. He had a captain come on and just went off on this entire fucking episode. And one of the things he talked about towards the end of this episode just blew my mind. He even said, "This, you're not going to believe what I'm telling you, but this is the technology. It's true. Is they have the technology to now switch our souls from one body to another." Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, look, I don't know about that. I'm not gonna, you know, we'll maybe that's what the pyramids were all about, right? But okay, look, like Kelly Cutler said it really fucking good, and maybe I'm butchering this, Kelly, but I don't know. I think what you were saying was rarely, if ever, will you ever see somebody, you know, criticizing somebody who's doing better than they are. You know, so like,
yeah,
like people always punch up. People rarely punch down. So you hardly ever see like celebrities like you know, trying to bully somebody that's just like a normal citizen or whatever, right? And and so that's what I really like about the Cutlers, you know, the Cutler brothers. Everything that you guys are all about is that at the end of the day, you always do circle back to the law of attraction, or just trying to keep things positive, right? So you're very aware of energy. And so to take this a little bit further, so talking about energy, right? So when you criticize somebody, or you know, like when you're like the government or whatever, like you're creating a negative energy, and it's very infectious. That's what gossip is all about. If you've ever been in a gossip circle or whatever, look at social media, right? And so here's the thing. People, corporations, they feed off of that, right? And I think that's why people like Mahoney get so fucking annoyed with conspiracy theorists, because they can hear the noise, and it's like, and we're all feeling this noise, and it's like when somebody's just coming in hot on a conspiracy, what that is, and just try to understand what I'm saying here. It's an energy that's coming out. And so imagine Facebook. It's this outrage, and look, we're all made of electricity there's a great documentary on Netflix about fungus. I think it's called like what's the name of that? It's on Netflix. It's a mushroom documentary, but they talk about the mycelium, the mushroom spores that are in the trees and in the soil, and it's like an electricity, and that's how we are. We all communicate. We're all like communicating with each other chemically. Like if Patrick were to say something offensive, somebody who's watching would get maybe triggered, and then they would release a hormone. And I'm not making this up. This is, we're still learning about it, right? But so the whole idea of soul harvesting is that the media, the news, the fear, think about it. They're wanting to keep people in fear. Why? What the fuck do they care? It's because whatever this force is, this interdimensional force, it's harvesting that energy. And this is getting into, I'm not even going to say conspiracy, but it's absolutely getting into like debating what we are and what this world is and how are we all connected. And this evil force, absolutely, like George Lucas, like he had a lot of shit right, like it's more than just the lifespan of a person, right? So it's not just one person. It's not like the Pope. I'm not calling out the Pope as evil, but
Depends which one you're talking about.
Right, yeah. HR, did you say anything about the Pope? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah,
but yeah, you know where I'm going with this though, because like, why is the news always talking about negative? And you got to think about it, because because all of these people, it's putting out these pheromones. I mean, think about like the spectrum of light. Like we can only see a tiny little sliver of everything, and like in like you look into an infrared camera and it'll make you think about the world differently, because it's like, oh shit, like, so there's so much more going on that we don't even know about. And oh yeah, obviously, like the law of attraction, when you're positive, like people can feel that shit. Like you actually can manipulate the gravity around you, so to speak, right? So yeah, that's just an introduction into what we're about to start talking about. And I don't know what the fuck you were talking about, Pat. What is this, souls changing?
So we're talking about soul, the technology, I guess, is available now that they can switch a person's soul from one body to the next. What do you think about that, Mahomes?
So here, I thought we were talking about Soul Cycle, the bicycling, stationary bicycling exercise. And so I was really ready to like get in on that and just talk about some of the good bike rides I've done. And to Mike's point, George Lucas had a lot of things right, but let's not forget Jar Jar Binks. Swing and a miss. So he's obviously not fully always right.
I didn't.
That's
he didn't.
awesome.
He didn't go into details or whatever on his YouTube episode, but he talked about like that technology. How does that even work? I did minimal Googling on it, and I didn't really do any research on it. I just thought that was interesting as fuck.
Well, I think what Mike's getting into too is that don't they say the entire universe is just made up of two things, space and matter? Is that right?
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of jizz,
Yeah, and jizz, yeah, and it's all Alan Watts again. It's all manipulated by us. Nothing exists unless you take some clay and you make it into a bowl. Well, that never existed until you took your mind and you made that bowl, or until you built that business, or until you became the president of the United States and we were calling certain shots and everything. It doesn't exist unless we will it into existence. And that's why people don't realize how much fucking power they have. We are all sorcerers, man. You can make anything happen if you believe it'll happen and you put the right energy into it.
Yeah. Was Matt back there just looking up soul harvesting? He got really quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, hey, I'm still waiting to make my point from 5 categories ago.
Matt's soul is being harvested right now.
I had a lot of good points. my next life after I blow my fucking head off. Thank you.
And his poster always changes behind him. That's law of not law of attraction, but what you're saying, space and matter.
Space jizz. So talking about that, I don't know if you're familiar with the occult or like Aleister Crowley or like these satanic people, but they're obsessed with blood. They're obsessed with like mixing blood and semen. That's why they do like sacrifices. And this is getting really dark, like when they get into like fucking little kids and shit. And also like feces and all that shit, they mix it all together. This is what Aleister Crowley was into, man. And they're tapped into these entities, right? And that's how you know you're dealing with people who are into like witchcraft or the occult. And this is some shit Patrick was flirting with recently, which is, it seems harmless on the surface, but when you really get into this is some ancient shit. And there's a reason, and I'm not saying I agree with burning people at the stake, but there's a fucking reason why people were so terrified of witchcraft, and it's because of this shit that we're talking about. It's fucking around with this energy. It opens up portals to shit that you may not want to know about. And so one last word on soul harvesting, and then we'll get into Project Bluebeam, right, Pat? But,
you got another 2 hours in you, Mahomes?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sure no.
Mahoney's like, yeah, I got 21 minutes.
He wants to round the beans.
Round the beams.
Round the
That's
blue
so
beams.
I want around the blue beams, right around the pyramids.
but think of a human body. It's like we're basically batteries with like 100-year lifespan. Like that's it. I mean, from an evil perspective, who wants to use us? And the Matrix got that right. The fucking Wachowski brothers, they got that shit right. I mean, we are a battery, and whether it's law of attraction, whether it's fear, and CNN is harvesting that fear. And so if Facebook or Twitter or CNN, if they can keep you locked in on their fucking shit, then you're not going to be using your 100 years, if you're lucky, of battery power to do better stuff. And so I think there is a great evil upon this world. And if you look at the Bible as a historical document, I mean, they wrote about this shit, and a lot of this shit is starting to come together. Like just think about the 9/11 pre-programming. Remember that, Pat? We were talking about the predictive programming of 9/11. Like all of these TV shows throughout the last 30 years predicted 9/11 in these weird, creepy ways. And I don't think that the filmmakers or that the artists did it on purpose. I just think that it's an energy that's ebbing and flowing. And we talked about 9/11 being a gravity event and I think there's so much more that we don't even know. So, what are we going to do, Mahoney? Just sit here and figure out all the world's conspiracies? We're not going to figure out the answers to it. But I think you believe in aliens, don't you? Like, do you have because like, I was really intrigued about your story about the house on Montana and the fucking radio turning on. I mean, all that is energy, right?
Yeah. I believe in a lot of shit that I don't think other people believe in. There's just I just think that sometimes conspiracies are too convenient. Mm-hmm. If you look at something long enough, you can convince yourself, right? You can find a way to convince, or then if you look long enough and you can kind of manipulate the facts or manipulate a picture, or I just think they're too convenient, and the world's not a pretty place like that. The world's not convenient. Mm-hmm. So there's some like JFK. I'm all in on the JFK stuff. Like I've done a bunch of looking into that. So there's some stuff I believe in. There's some stuff I just think if there's too many people involved, because just think about how many people do you actually trust? No matter how much money you have, how many people do you actually trust that wouldn't just sell this secret to somebody for another, more money? Or so if there's too many people involved, I have a hard time believing any secret can stay secret for forever. The more people you involve.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to go back to Mike's point about some of the witchcraft stuff I did. Yeah, I kind of believed in it for a little while till nothing fucking happened. So I buried the books deep inside all my spell books, buried them deep inside the ground and lit some
Dude,
fire and stuff. And
you
let
shouldn't
it
be
go.
fucking with that, Pat. This is some dangerous shit, man. Like I'm telling you, like I didn't have a chance to do all the research that I wanted to do because I've been so busy. But you know, there's some, you got to be careful.
I did. You know, maybe when I buried it and did the fire ritual and everything, I didn't say the words exactly to clear my conscience, but pretty close enough, you know.
Are you sure you were trying to clear your conscience or not make the spells work even better and bigger at that point?
I visit that place every night. No, I think I was just kind of trying to move on to a new chapter in my life, and I didn't know how to just say to the world, I'm done with this. I just buried it and lit a fire and stuff and called it good.
Yeah, the exact way they said to make the stuff come true. Just coincidentally, you did that.
Pretty much. There's actually a history of burying stuff that comes true later on, but I don't know. He's right. You should go look these stories online. I did a lot of Reddit searches, especially with love spells, which I was kind of fucking around with, whatever. It's the stories, and you can go back to the voodoo love spell episode. The stories online are not all of them are like that, but there's some ones that would blow your fucking mind. There's a horror one. This guy could not get this lady's possession over him, like, and it was just dark. It was crazy. There's been some crazy fucking shit with some of the spells. Fortunately, I found my safe in the safe zone. I believe for right now, that is.
Well, Pat, I mean, everybody is battling for your soul. You know, like if you're a battery or you know, Jesus wants your soul. Everybody wants your soul. So, you know, if you're going to keep your mind focused on, you know, this is why it's so cool that you guys get the law of attraction thing, because that's all it is. It's just keeping your soul on a path, because if you're not careful, it'll get snatched up. You know, that people say they sell their soul or whatever. It's just an allegory for just being on, just letting your battery power, because we're just flowing forward and then our energy's gone, you know.
Honestly, I think it's an allegory for people just saying, fuck it, I quit, especially in today's society. I'm going to quit trying to be my true self, because it's way easier just to follow somebody and be comfortable and follow my TV set every day and let my TV set control everything. So a lot of people, they sell their soul in a way of saying, well, it's just easier if I do the easy route and be a complete fucking zombie, because it's better a lot of times. And you've seen this in the kind of the metaphorical sense of the Matrix, where the first one's great, and I agree with the guy. He's like, man, this fucking reality sucks, so I'm going to betray all these people to get myself back in the Matrix. And it was actually, I really love the Matrix. You can't tell if it's fake or real, even though they know it's not real. They still want to go back in there because they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucked.
Yeah, and you feel better. You feel better if you're living as your true self and you're following your own dreams and shit. Because, you know, I was just having this conversation with my parents. I'm like, you know, you sit on your ass and you just watch Netflix all day, or you don't do anything, and you really start to become like miserable or something. You know, you just feel like a piece of shit, guilty, whatever. But then if you just like force yourself to get up and go to work or wash the dishes or go for a walk, your whole day is fucking different after that. Just from doing one small task and then a bigger task and then a bigger, your whole fucking day is completely different, and you have control of your whole day and your emotions and shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting. I think that people are so brainwashed from not only like the news and stuff. That's why I don't watch the news at all. But from the education system to everything, it's I think it's really hard for people to really see also what reality really actually is. So it's really hard, and it takes people a long time. They don't even get it till like their 50s or 60s or whatever, till you really start to realize. Because once you get, once you get up in an age that you're 50, 60, you just stop giving a shit. And that's the point where a lot of people get older. You're like, well, this is a grumpy old man. Or it's like, I think that's because a lot of grumpy old men or whatever they finally realized that all the fucking bullshit they were told their entire lives isn't really fucking true. And basically, you can really honestly do whatever you want to do. That's the big secret. The secret of law of attraction is literally you can honestly do whatever the fuck you want to do. You just need to go out there, feel fine breaking rules and everything else, knowing that nothing's going to happen to you.
Yeah, and HR is the antithesis of that.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of hitting that part where we're gonna have to continue this conversation and because I know we were gonna get to aliens, but we started talking.
Hey, do you want to show them the Seattle footage? Do you have that?
Yeah, I'll show this really quick. So if you want,
this might be interesting to Mahoney.
This will be a preface for the Project Blue Bean episode.
So we're not going to talk about Project Blue.
No,
well, that's good because it'll give me a chance to do more research because I haven't had time to fucking research as I wanted to because there's a lot of shit to this.
I'm interested. I'm super interested in that and the pyramids. I just feel like we should dedicate an episode to it, and
we should
not stray. Tonight we kind of got off on a couple different.
We should just start this fucking spinoff now. Like, what do you guys want the spinoff to be called?
Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, Project Bluebeam. It really starts. We'll call this part one. Starts with the 2021 Creep Show.
Yeah.
So
you can call it MFC, Mike Freeze Conspiracy. It's going to be the podcast.
How about Project Blue Balls?
Ooh.
Actually, I know a good spinoff name, Mahomes. How about the Deputy Wardens?
Yeah. Actually, how about the Griffins?
And the ugliest, and have it all orange, the ugliest colors ever made by man. My gosh.
Mm-hmm.
You said you want me to start like in the middle of it, kind of?
Well, yeah, I mean, do you guys know, do you want to preface this or do you want me to preface
why don't you just
kind of showed it to us a little bit before, right?
So what happened was basically, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Seattle during COVID last year, they did a virtual. Seattle wasn't the only place, but a lot of places like cities they did.
Yeah, it was all over the world.
Yeah, a virtual New Year's celebration where they have kind of a shot or whatever of the Space Needle here, and then they just do a bunch of special effects on top of the Space Needle, and then they just stream it. This digital presentation, they just stream on. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean, this technology has been growing for a while, and you got to keep in mind. So, okay, just to preface Project Bluebeam, we won't get into it, but it's essentially what they're going to do is they're going to project holograms of aliens right in the sky, kind of like Will Smith on Independence Day, you know, when he's taking a leak and he looks up and sees his fucking spaceship. Well, they got the technology to do that shit. I mean, you know, back in the day, like remember when they had a hologram of Tupac at that concert, and then you know, like the technology is getting crazy. So look at this, what they did in Seattle. It's unfucking believable. The Space Needle is 585 feet tall. So keep that in mind.
Let me turn in the volume on this, and I'm going to start sharing my screen here. So here we go. Here is the Space Needle here.
I mean, that light is shooting like 1,000 feet in the air, and it's just unbelievable.
So could you watch this live, or did you say it's all broadcast? It's all, or could you go stand in your backyard and watch this?
Well, I think that this was a New Year's Eve. It was like a New Year's special, you know, and it was something that they didn't just do in Seattle. They did it in a few other countries, but just watch this for a few minutes and just watch the shit they're able to do. Maybe scrub it a little bit, Pat, just to kind of show some cool shit, because you kind of landed on like a transitionary part. You know,
Here we go.
like watch this shit. And, you know, and if you're watching on YouTube, really watch this at home and watch it in high definition and really look at this. And if you can imagine being there, the Space Needle is 585 feet tall. So yeah, this is fucking mind blowing. Like, and so the other thing about this is that this is full of symbolism of like, you know, like occultic symbolism, and symbology is everything with the occult, right? And the word occult, it's a Latin word that means the hidden, right? And it's very much in Freemasonry and even ancient Egyptians, and like, so everything they're doing here is it's very much has a separate meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, like he says for New Year's, but could you watch this out in Seattle, or
Look at this shit.
was it just online or what? I mean, Mahoney. I don't know if Mahoney was out there. I mean,
Yeah,
we're from
Mahoney,
San
were you
Diego.
like?
No, I mean, again, I was with family down in San Diego, but my brother does live up in Seattle, and I don't remember him saying anything about this. You typically, from what he tells me, they do a fireworks show on New Year's from the Space Needle, and then I think a fireworks show from a big park down by the waterfront.
Wait, is that your brother right there, Mahomes?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, that's him.
Is that him dancing?
I don't think this doesn't feel like something that you would be like. I'm just basing it purely off the camera angles. This seems like something that was just like a preset show, nothing that you could actually see like in person. I'm trying to imagine all the equipment that you would need to set up for something.
No, this is real. There's tons of footage of this, of other people shooting it from their cell phones and shit. Just look up.
Really?
Just look up. Oh yeah. Just look up Seattle New Year's Eve light show or Space Needle. It's like
Seattle. Let me look this up then. Seattle.
Yeah, dude, and it's not just Seattle. Like they're able to do this shit. I mean, yeah. Look at the top one there. Or okay, look at the one with the butterfly. I mean,
this guy shot this one off his camera. Let me see this. What's going on here?
I think there was a better one.
Because I mean, the two that I've seen so far have like news things on them.
What's this one here? Yeah,
Project Blue Wing Space Needle.
Needle goes something. Oh,
see, that one's still got the King 5 is a news network up there.
But look, yeah. I mean, look at that shit, man. Like this is. So, anyways, the idea of Project Bluebeam is that they are going to be, manipulating stuff, and the idea is that they're going to get us all divided, and then the fucking aliens are going to come, and then we're going to all have to unite. This one guy that I've been listening to, he's done a lot of research, and he thinks that Iran is going to start a nuclear war with Israel. What? and then it's going to be, yeah, like they're going to threaten war, and then like Israel's going to fucking, like, basically shit's going to go down, and then the aliens are going to show up and say, hey, we will stop all of this, but it's going to be a trick. It's in the fucking Bible. Like a lot of this shit, it's like, in the Revelations, it's like there'll be war for 7 years, and then there'll be a false, like, whoever comes and pretends to be the savior. That's, again, I'm butchering it, so I'll have to really show you the research on the next time. But whether or not it's light tricks or whether or not it's actual aliens, are you guys in the camp of aliens being interdimensional or interplanetary? Like, do you think that they come from other planets, or do you think that they come from like another dimension?
Well, I think because I believe I want to do an episode on multi-dimension, multiverse theory. So I think both. Honestly, I think they can come from different planets. I think they come from different dimensions. I believe the real secret I haven't told anybody was the witchcraft stuff. Was a lot of my attempts to try to quantum jump into different dimensions, physically, mentally, sexually.
Yeah, I think if it's possible, man. And again, to the conspiratorial side of things, if it can be manipulated, I think it'll be manipulated, and that's why it's just hard to really trust anything except for those, closest to you. And sometimes you can't even do that. But yeah, if it can be manipulated, it can. And I totally think there's there's got to be stuff out there. I mean, we are not even a grain of sand in the entire universe. Even we're tiny.
But I think again, that's just the kind of, we're getting towards the end here. But the one of the things that was getting out the YouTube video I was watching the other day from that guy, I really trust him. He's a really cool guy. Is he was talking about energy, and if we have energy to manipulate matter, and that's all Einstein talked about is energy and influence our environment, positive energy or negative energy. The amount of energy you put out is the amount of power you have to manipulate your environment and everything else. There's plenty of stories like that lady that has the kid under a car she has to save, and she fucking gets the strength out of nowhere to lift up a car. It's like, just that's one example, but he was saying, like, if you imagine the energy that we have to manipulate our own environment, can you imagine others, aliens, the energy that they have to manipulate things, and
Right. Yeah.
So interdimensional travel probably is pretty easy for them.
Yeah, and a lot of these people that really are into this stuff, they subscribe to the idea that aliens have always been with humanity since there has been humanity. And if you look at even ancient carvings, there's carvings of fucking guys in spaceships, and like it's absolutely possible that we are just a spectrum and there is a whole multiverse, or there is this or that. But the idea is that there's going to be a great deception. So that's the only thing that I'll leave you with until the follow-up episode on this, is that we are getting into that time of the great deception, and they're going to do something like this. The COVID thing, all the stuff that we're seeing being unrolled right now, a lot of this is beta testing, and they're getting ready. And you can feel it. Can't you guys feel it, that something's about to happen? I mean, really, like, whether you believe in conspiracies or not.
Oh, I think something big's about that. Oh, well, for sure. I don't know what it is, and that's kind of, again, what a lot of people I've talked to and stuff, online stuff, is like you can feel it, but no one. The intelligent people are saying they don't know what. They could feel a great energy shift happening here, but you just don't know what. The people that, or I won't say unintelligent, but a lot of people, though, where they lose credibility is they try to predict exactly what's going to happen. That's just not the way the universe works. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. But yeah,
I mean, the weirdest times in our entire life, I want to say, has been in the last year or two. Definitely for me. So if you can't feel it, if you can't hear something, feel something, then I think you're just deaf or blind or something, because this has definitely we're in a different place right this second than we were a year ago or 2 years ago. And it's like, it's just been amplified. It's big. It's in your face. It's just like, what happened to normal life 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you can fucking feel it for sure. Big time.
So I won't jump on the bandwagon of saying that, it's going to be aliens or it's going to be a World War III or anything like that. I'll just say that something's obviously going on. Like, you can't really deny that part of it, because it's just weird.
This guy I was listening to earlier today was talking about the speed of light, and how all the scientists subscribe to the Big Bang or whatever. And even if you're a creationist, maybe there was a Big Bang, but there's a theory that that the bang happened, but like that the light coming out, it's actually slowing down, and that the speed of light is not a constant, and that we all think, because our lifespans are so tiny, we all think that the speed of light is the exact same speed. But this guy thinks that when you look back in history or even forward in the future, things get distorted because the speed of light is actually slowing down, and it's warping kind of our perception of stuff.
That's interesting.
Really, it is interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, let's that's part of the show here. Let's get around those horses, and next week we'll maybe not. We'll talk and see when we'll do the Project Bluebeam episode, but it's going to come up here soon. We just got off on some other topics that actually really needed to be addressed. I thought it was a pretty good show here today. So let's just round the horn. Matt, what are your final words for this episode?
I just want to go back 5 categories. Like I said, I'm not saying anything until we go back 5 categories. I can actually get a chance to talk about some of that shit. But now, well, let me see. My final word of all this brilliant, intelligent bullshit is go eat a bag of dicks. There you go.
A nice energy.
All right. We'll go with Kelly, your final statement.
I don't know. It's just interesting stuff. We've been around the horns on a lot of stuff tonight. Creep show is going to be awesome. We did a walkthrough tonight, and it's really, honestly, I haven't been this excited for a creep show since probably we started, or, maybe one at the prison or something, but it's going to be really good. It's not satanic. It's just a load of fun, and check it out if you can. And I'm excited to hear more about the alien stuff in the future, Mr. Freeze.
I'm excited to hear more about the alien cult that's going on at the Jewel Funeral Home this weekend. Mahomes, what's your final thoughts on everything?
Just everyone, if you're going to be around in the area or even not, make sure you're around in the area for the creep show. It sounds like it's going to be a good time. Certainly probably one of the most memorable ones, if not the most memorable one of all time. So that should certainly be interesting. And just remember, just give a fuck about the stuff you give a fuck about. And if people try and make you care about something else that you don't give a shit about, then don't waste your time on it, because it's your time, nobody else's.
Oh, 100%.
Are you talking about Matt in this podcast by chance?
that certain, I mean, he just lived the energy that I just was talking about. He just
Fuck this shit.
I need to fix his internet or something. I don't know. We'll see. And Mike Freeze, your final word for tonight's episode.
Yeah, this has all been about energy for me. I mean, it was cool to just get to, think out loud with you guys. And, when people listen to it too, it's a, different experience. And I think that, thank you for people hanging on to let us just, figure our thoughts out with each other. Cause this is just such a complicated time that we're living in. And it's always been complicated, right? I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time in humanity where shit wasn't fucking getting real, every century they thought was the apocalypse. And, there's always been something crazy happening. And this might not even be the first time that we had technology, I mean, there's a lot of, cadence to the idea that shit got wiped out by a comet, or there, the earth has gone through ice ages. And so who knows how many cycles we go through of the same shit. And yeah, man, I always feel better after rounding the horses, rounding the circle in the wagons with you guys, because it is therapeutic to talk about it and to think about it and to know that you're not alone, and even this HR experience that I had today, it was therapeutic for me, because it's okay, this is where we're at, and it's not all negative, right? It's impossible for everything to be negative, and but yeah, and thanks guys for doing comedy. And the Das Fruit it's awesome, and the creep show, and it's just keeping that ship moving, with the changing winds. And if I was there, I would totally go protest the creep show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is tonight's show here. It was a great show, talking about a lot of different stuff, multidimensional theory, aliens, and boycott the creep show. Everybody, please support us by boycotting the creep show. We're going to go on the news tomorrow and talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But be back. I don't know what we got next week. We might have another guest lined up for next week, but we're going to give you plenty of time there, Mike. Give as much information as possible about Project Bluebeam and the aliens. I think we could do a whole podcast episode to that. And once we started rolling tonight, I was like, I don't want to force it in there. Let's just wait till another day to really go into it. So next week, I don't have any proof next week. I'm not sure what we're doing, because we're too busy putting together a satanic cult inside an old funeral home. All right. See you guys later.